The most profitable business in America right now does not file taxes, does not have a LinkedIn, does not have a Glassdoor review, though if it did, the comments would be something else. It is running operations in all 50 states. It employs hundreds of thousands of people. It generates somewhere between $500 billion and $2 trillion a year. And nobody can agree on the exact number because nobody can actually track it. That's how clean the operation is. And here's the part that nobody talks about. It has a rank system, a promotion track, performance reviews that you really do not want to fail. A whole corporate ladder, except the severance package at every level is either a federal bid or a pine box. Today, you're walking through every single rank of the black market, from the very bottom, and I mean the absolute bottom, to the top of the pyramid. And by the time we get there, I promise you, what you find waiting up there is not what you think. If you've never hit subscribe on this channel, right now is the move. We do this every week, hit it and come back. Let's start at the bottom. And I mean the very bottom. You are 10 years old. You live 3 blocks from a corner that everybody in your neighborhood already knows about. You don't know what a cartel is. You don't know what organized crime means. What you know is that your cousin came home last Thursday with a fresh pair of Jordan 4s, retail $200, and he wasn't working at the Foot Locker. And something clicked in that 10-year-old brain of yours? This is how it starts. Not with a recruiter, not with a contract, with a pair of sneakers. The first rung of the black market doesn't have a job posting. It has a pair of Jordans and a burner phone. Your title, if you could call it that, is Falcon. The Falcon. Your job is simple. You stand at a corner, a transit hub, maybe near a school, and you watch. That's literally it. You watch for police, for marked cars, for anything that feels off, and you text 2 words to a number you were told to memorize. 2 words. That is the entire job, and you feel powerful. For the first time in your life, you feel like you're part of something real. What you don't feel, because nobody's telling you, is that you are the single most expendable person in this entire operation. You're making maybe $50 a week. You have 0 protection from the organization. You don't even know the name of the guy who pays you. If you get pinched, the person above you has genuinely never heard of you. You are invisible to the people you're protecting, and that is by design. The average Falcon lasts less than 18 months before they get knocked, age out, or just disappear. And disappear doesn't always mean transferred. But let's say you survive. Let's say you're sharp enough to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. Because if you're someone upstairs just noticed, and that promotion you're about to get, it is not what you think it is. You're 19. You kept your head down, you stayed quiet when it counted, and now you've been moved up. You're a runner? A Mule mobile logistics. Sounds better, right? You're not stuck on a corner anymore. You're moving, you're trusted. But here's what nobody told you. You just traded a stationary target for a moving one, and moving targets are easier to catch. Your job is to carry product, drugs, cash, sometimes weapons between stash houses, across cities, sometimes across state lines. You are the supply chain, and like any supply chain, when something goes wrong, it is never the warehouse that eats the blame. It's the driver. Over 80% of all drug-related arrests happen at exactly this rank. Not at the top, at you. The people above you are not losing sleep over this. You're replaceable. There are 100 guys in line for your spot who don't even know it yet. And it gets darker than that. To move product across checkpoints without getting fragged, some runners get coerced, not asked, coerced into swallowing drug-filled pellets, latex-wrapped packages designed to make it through your digestive system. Every single minute those things are inside you, there's a chance one ruptures. And if it does, you don't go to the hospital, you go in a bag. Fentanyl doesn't negotiate. Some runners get assigned to something called cuckooing, where the organization takes over the home of a vulnerable person, usually someone elderly or deep in addiction, and turns it into a stash house. You're living in a stranger's apartment surrounded by scales and burner phones, telling the neighbors you're just visiting. The person whose home it is cannot say a word. Neither can you. This is the rank most people never leave. They get knocked here, or they burn out here. But let's say you've decided you're done working for someone else. Let's say you're going freelance, because this is where the real illusion kicks in, and it is a very good one. Going independent. Being your own plug, this is the dream, right? No more split cuts, no more answering to anybody. You set your hours, you run your own corners, you are in your own head at least an entrepreneur. And honestly, In some ways, you are. You've got product, demand, a distribution network, a pricing strategy, risk management. You're doing things that a business school grad would recognize. You're just doing them with a federal wiretap as a permanent background feature. Here's a fact that's going to flip everything you think you know about this. The majority of your customers are not who the news shows you. Over 30% are college students. Another 28% are working professionals, lawyers, doctors, people with careers, and mortgages. These are actually your best clients. You know why? Because they have something to lose. They are not going to snitch on you when they've got a bar exam in 2 weeks. Fear is a better guarantee than loyalty will ever be. But here's the uncomfortable math they never put in the rap lyrics. After paying for product, paying holders to keep your stash separate from your cash, replacing burner phones every few weeks, handling bribes when necessary, moving your operation whenever the heat shows up, the average retail dealer takes home between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. That is less than a shift manager at Target, except the Target manager doesn't have to worry about a rival running up on them at 2 in the morning, or a Fed with a year-long wiretap, or someone inside their own crew quietly deciding they want the clientele. You thought you were escaping the grind? You built a smaller, meaner version of the same grind, and you're standing at the bottom of it again, wondering how that happened. But somebody above you has noticed you're still standing, and they have a very different kind of job opening in mind. And this next rank, this is where things stop being about money and start being about something a lot harder to walk back from. At a certain point, the organization has a problem that more product or more cash cannot solve. People stop listening. Rivals start testing the borders. Messages need to be sent that words cannot carry. If you've shown the right kind of loyalty and the right kind of detachment, you get tapped as an enforcer, a Sicario. Let's be real about what that actually means. You are now a professional killer, not a soldier with rules of engagement and a chain of command. You operate in the gray assassinations, disappearances, kidnappings, messages sent to rival crews that don't involve words. Your job is to make people afraid, and when fear stops working, to remove the problem entirely. And here's what nobody in the movies gets right. They don't recruit hothead guys for this. They recruit calm ones. People who can walk into a diner, sit across from someone, have a completely normal conversation, and then do what needs to be done and drive home in silence. That level of compartmentalization is not natural. And what it does to a person over years of doing this, psychologists have a clinical name for it. But on the street, they just say he went cold. The average lifespan of an enforcer is shorter than any other rank in the hierarchy. You are the primary target for rival crews and for specialized federal task forces that know exactly what you are. You move constantly. You trust nobody. Burner after burner after burner. And here's the part that should really keep you up at night. Even the people who gave you this job are watching you. Because if you're this effective at making problems disappear, they're already thinking about what happens if you decide they're the problem. You survived the street. You proved you can handle the worst of it. And now the organization needs something different from you. Not muscle management. Welcome to the part of the hierarchy where you stop pulling the trigger and start deciding who does. You survived the violence, you kept the operation clean, and now you've crossed into something that looks, on the surface, like a promotion. You're a lieutenant, a teniente, boss of your own territory. Your life is administrative now. You supervise the Falcons and enforcers in your zone. You handle disputes over lost product or missing cash. You investigate snitches, and investigate in this context does not mean filling out a form. You are the bridge between the raw violence of the streets below and the strategic isolation of the leadership above you. You carry both worlds in your head every single day, and the weight of that is something nobody outside this world fully understands. The money is real. You charge commissions as high as 40% on recovered debts. You control the bribery networks that keep the whole machine running. Law enforcement, local officials, sometimes judges. You're the face of the operation in your plaza. But that visibility is also a bullseye. You are now high value enough to be a priority target for federal prosecution. Connected enough to be a genuine threat to leadership if you ever decide to flip, and trusted enough that if you do flip, the damage to the organization would be catastrophic. Welcome to the level where everybody wants something from you and nobody is actually in your corner. But there is a rank that operates completely outside this chain of command. A rank that never touches the product, never shows up at a crime scene, never pulls a trigger, and somehow ends up the most dangerous person in the entire building. There's a rank that never shows up in the government's organizational chart of a cartel. Nobody makes movies about it. It's not flashy, but it might be the single most powerful position in the entire operation. The specialist? And you might be a former corporate lawyer, a CPA, an ex-bank executive who found out that the cartel pays significantly better than Goldman Sachs and doesn't ask about your 401k. You are essentially the CFO of a company that would absolutely kill their CFO. Think about that. Here's the problem you've been brought in to solve. The organization makes too much money. That sounds absurd, but think about it. When you're generating several $million a week in cash, physical, untraceable bills, the volume alone becomes a liability. $250,000 bills weighs about 75 pounds. If you're moving $10 million a month, you are literally dealing with tons of paper that cannot go anywhere near a bank account. Your job is to make dirty money clean, shell corporations in the Caymans, real estate holdings layered through LLCs, restaurants, radio stations, legitimate businesses that absorb cash on one end and push clean revenue out the other. You are the architect of invisibility, and you are very, very good at it. And you rationalize it the whole way through. Every specialist does. I'm not selling anything. I'm just managing assets. This is a legal transaction. You put distance between yourself and the product. You treat it like a puzzle, complex, intellectual, almost fun until the day you see your client's name on the front page connected to 23 bodies in a mass grave, and you realize every shell company you built, every property you cleaned, every account you structured, that was the infrastructure for this. You built the machine, you just never watched it run. And the paper trail you created to make them invisible, that same trail is what buries you. The feds know that taking down enforcers doesn't kill an organization. Taking down its financial infrastructure does. You're the most valuable person on the team and the most exposed one. Now, we've covered the bottom, the middle, and the quiet power behind the curtain. Let's talk about what's actually waiting at the very top, because I promise you, it is nothing like what you think. You made it. You're the Capo, the kingpin, the drug lord. Whatever name the feds are using in the indictment, you control a multi-billion-dollar operation across multiple countries. You've got people inside law enforcement, inside banking, inside government. You make decisions that show up in congressional hearings a decade later without your name on them. You are, by every visible measure, at the top. And here's the thing, nobody tells you. You are the most trapped person in this entire organization. You cannot move freely. You cannot use your real name. You cannot call your mother on a regular phone without running it through 3 layers of intermediaries. You cannot go to your own kid's birthday without a full security perimeter around the block. The money is real. The power is real. The freedom that was supposed to come with it. That was always a lie you told yourself on the way up. El Chapo, arguably the most powerful drug lord in modern history, ran the Sinaloa cartel for years from inside a maximum security prison, issuing orders through coded messages, managing logistics from a cell. The people several ranks below him were freer than he was. Sit with that for a second. You govern through fear and loyalty, and you know better than anyone in this hierarchy that both of those things expire. Fear expires when someone decides they're more scared of your competition than of you. Loyalty expires when the money changes or a better deal lands on someone's table. You watched everyone above you fall, and now you're up here, and somewhere below you, someone is watching you exactly the way you used to watch your boss. The pyramid isn't a structure, it's a countdown. And just when you think you finally understand exactly how this machine works, the entire model is being rewritten from the ground up. There's a rank forming right now that has no territory, no hitman, no hierarchy you can draw on a chart, no physical address, no name. Researchers call it the ghost network, and it is exactly what it sounds like. No product moving across a border, no plaza to defend, no corner to stand on in January. Just encrypted servers, crypto wallets, cyber-enabled money movement across jurisdictions that don't talk to each other, and the ability to dissolve the entire operation overnight and rebuild it under a different identity by Tuesday morning. The new black market doesn't need you to swallow a pellet or stand out in the cold. It needs your coding skills, your understanding of blockchain, your ability to disappear inside a VPN chain that hops across 6 countries faster than any federal subpoena can follow. Here's what makes this genuinely chilling. The old tools don't work on it. Surveillance, informants, wiretaps, all built for a world with physical locations and human contacts you can flip. The Ghost Network has zero signature, and an organization with zero signature is, for all practical purposes, invisible to the law. The future of the black market doesn't look like a cartel. It looks like a ghost, and you won't know it's there until it's already moved on. Which brings us all the way back to where this started, to a 10-year-old on a corner watching for police, and to the one question nobody in this hierarchy ever gets to answer before it's too late. So here's what you just walked through. 10 years old on a corner, 19 swallowing latex across a state line. Mid-20s running your own block, making less than a shift manager at Target. 30s going cold, doing things you don't talk about in daylight. 40s managing a territory where everyone either wants you dead or wants you to flip. Near the very top, cleaning money for people whose names you were better off never knowing. And at the absolute top, billions of dollars, zero freedom, a countdown you can feel in your chest but cannot stop. Every single rank in this hierarchy has one thing in common: you are expendable. At the bottom, you're expendable because you're unknown. At the top, you're expendable because you know too much. The organization never existed for you. You existed for the organization. From the Falcon watching corners for $50 a week to the Capo issuing orders from inside a federal prison cell, the machine runs the same way. It feeds on the people inside it. The drug trade is not a path to power. It is the world's most sophisticated poverty trap, dressed up as an opportunity and sold to people who deserved a better set of options. The math was never in your favor. It was designed that way, built by people at the very top who understood exactly what they were selling, and it was never the product. It was the dream. And maybe the most uncomfortable question you can sit with right now isn't how do they get away with it? It's this: a system this brutal, this ruthless, this relentless has been running continuously for over a century. Who exactly keeps it alive? It's not just the dealers. Take a second with that, because that's the answer nobody in this video, not the Falcon, not the Capo, not the Ghost can give you. If you made it this far, you are exactly the kind of person this channel was built for. Subscribe. We go places most channels don't have the guts to go, and we are just getting started.